Thank you, Flo, for spoiling that. I was going to reveal that in the stream. But anyway, as we've closed one era of GP4 OC, it's time to begin an exciting new era. Hello, everyone, and I completely botched that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first day of the 2021 pre-season tests. We are here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, for what is possibly the most anticipated pre-season test and possibly the most anticipated GP4OC season in a very long time. I am JW97, and I am joined today by Formula 2 commentator Robert Ionescu. How are you doing?
I was eating some ice cream. Hello there, Joe. It's good to see you, and I have just one thing to say for this season as a whole, and especially for this test. We are in uncharted territory.
Indeed. We are about to go into the complete unknown for GP4 OC. First of all, I hope you like the new thumbnail graphic that we're using. Of course, I thought I might make a new thumbnail for this season, given that we are in the fantasy era, of course. But anyway, if anybody hasn't somehow read what Flo said in the stream chat, of course, we were originally meant to test a new element for Grand Prix 4, which was the no spare cars thing. But unfortunately, some technical issues have prevented us from doing that. So Flo and Yuri will be looking to try and see if they can get it working for tomorrow, but if not, they'll do some more testing with it, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, we are here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, and we are looking forward to it indeed. In terms of the weather for the first day of pre-season testing, it is going to be a bright and sunny day, and whether that will be an omen for the remainder of the test, we'll have to wait and see. But we are very excited about this because we literally have no idea what to expect in this test. So I think without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Let's get on with the first day of pre-season testing. And, well, we are here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, and... yes, indeed. But yes, we're about to go into the complete unknown. So first of all, I hope you guys enjoyed the launch videos, because if anybody didn't see the launch videos, well, you're about to see the new cars coming out onto the racetrack very, very soon indeed. And, well, it is going to be very, very exciting indeed. Some very interesting liveries, and we've got a 45-minute preseason test for day one to kick us off. And it'd be very interesting to see who has got it right and who has got it wrong over the winter. It's going to be interesting. And the first car to come out onto the track is Andrea Vaderi in the Alfa Romeo. So the first car on the track is the Alfa Romeo of Andrea Vaderi. Of course, the livery edited by Barbara Mavazzoni, who is the real-life girlfriend of Bruno de Bauer. So appreciate her work for this Alfa Romeo. But I think whilst we wait for the lap times to come underway, we might as well go through the drivers and teams for 2021 for anybody who's not aware, of course. And of course, also go through the calendar as well. So let's kick things off then with defending champions Mercedes. No changes in their lineup. They have retained their lineup of two-time world champion Franco Lopez, who is determined to make it title number 3 this season, and he's once again joined by Amar Kar. Will these two keep away from each other this time and stop crashing into each other? That's going to be a question. But will the Mercedes still be competitive? That will be another interesting question as well. Also, moving on to Red Bull, the new look Red Bull as well, the right and red Red Bull now, due to the fact that they've adopted the Honda Japanese colours, and their lineup, they've retained Franco Gamba for another season, and he is joined by George Rowe, the Haas reunion from 2018. George returns to Red Bull for the first time since 2006, and it'd be very interesting to see if his move has paid off indeed. Speaking of his former team, we move over to the rebranded Aston Martin, formerly Racing Point, but now they are known as Aston Martin. Roland Mottram remains at the team, but he's joined by the returning Julius Anderson, who is determined to stay in the top class for a lot longer this time. Moving over to Renault, they retain Evan Byrne, but he's joined by Jesus Perinen, who was the test driver, of course, last season, but has been promoted to a race seat. So it'll be interesting to see how Jesus does in his rookie season. Will the Renault be competitive this season? It will be interesting to see. McLaren are next, a team who are also looking to have a competitive car this season. They retain their lineup of Kirishima De Rosa and two-time world champion Joseph Willows, who suffered his first winless season in 2020 and is looking to get back to winning ways should the McLaren be competitive. Moving over to AlphaTauri, they retain David Kupok, but he's joined by 2009 world champion Miklos Gau in what many deem to be a bizarre move. Will it pay off for Miklos? We'll have to wait and see. Ferrari are next, a brand new lineup for them. Roberto Gamba retired at the end of the season, and Laura Chung has moved to a brand new team. Their new lineup consists of Chris Chatfield and Jake Galloway. Alfa Romeo, which we are looking at, one of the drivers you're seeing right now is Andre Verderi, but he has got a new teammate in the form of the returning Roman Quarg, who returns to the series for the first time since 2016. The 2020 DTM champion looking to have a good season on his return. Moving over to Williams, the Pink Williams now, as we've got to refer to it. No changes in their lineup. Felix Sontag and Jamie Griffiths remain at the team for another season. Haas retained Daniel Fraser, and he is joined by Emilia Wilson, and of course they have a brand new look as well. And the brand new Lamborghini team have Rahul Patel and Laura Chung as their lineup. Laura Chung, of course, moving over from Ferrari, and Rahul Patel moving over from GP2, of course. But we've got some lap times on the board. Burns is a 1 minute 20.894 as Coupot slots behind Verderi at this point. Lopez goes into third with that lap. Motrin slots to second. De Rosa goes to the top by 10. As we've got more lap times coming on the board. Willows now goes fastest by a tenth. Now Galloway goes to the top by 2 tenths of a second in the Ferrari. Whether Lopez was in traffic or not, I'm not sure. But Rote goes into third, meanwhile, in the Red Bull. Carr goes into sixth. And Sontag slots to 12th, meanwhile. As Patel
goes 7th there. Now make that 8th because Chet was just going in front of him in the Ferrari.
Yes, indeed, as Griffiths goes into 15th, as it's P5 for Franco Gamba. It's GAM again now as his prefix as a result of his cousin retiring at the end of last season. Perinen slots to 14th, as meanwhile Anderson goes into 8th meantime, as Verderi now then makes his way through the section of corners as Galloway, Gal goes into 19th. I do apologise. I seem to still get that prefix confused there. Chung goes to 8th meanwhile in the Lamborghini, and we've got the first times on the board. Now, I'm not sure if any of them got held up in traffic, but they are the first lap times on the board, with Galloway topping the session at the moment by nearly 3 tenths ahead of Joseph Willows at this point in time. Now,
Verderi is about to finish another lap. Let's see if he can improve on it. Sorry to interrupt you, Joe. He can improve, but not in his position. He's gone up by half a tenth.
Indeed so. Now, we talked about the driver lineup. Let's go through the calendar for the 2021 season. It kicks off, as per usual, at the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne before we head off to the Chinese Grand Prix in Shanghai. Now, I'm not sure whether Melbourne will have a new layout this time around, because for those of you who are not aware, as Galloway improves on his fastest time, for anybody who is not aware, of course, there is a 2022 version of Melbourne that is now available on Grand Prix 4. So whether Yuri will be planning to use that version, we will have to wait and see. China will take place for round 2, which is the Chinese Grand Prix in Shanghai, followed by the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku. That will stage round 3. Round 4 of the championship is the German Grand Prix in Hockenheim, followed by the Portuguese Grand Prix in Portimao. Then it is the Spanish Grand Prix in Catalonia, so where we are now, followed by the Monaco Grand Prix in Monte Carlo. Then, of course, we'll have the annual Indianapolis 500, which will happen in between Monaco and, well, of course, what round 8 is going to be, which is the French Grand Prix at Le Castellet in France. And then followed by the next race, which is the 9th race of the season. That will be the Austrian Grand Prix in Spielberg, followed by the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Then it is the Hungarian Grand Prix, which will be round 11 at Budapest, followed by the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps. Monza is round 13 for the Italian Grand Prix, followed by the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. That moves forward from its original places from the last few seasons. Then it is the Korean Grand Prix at Yeongnam for round 15, followed by round 16, which will be the Malaysian Grand Prix at Kuala Lumpur. Will it be a mad race like we had last season? That will be a very interesting question indeed. Then it is round 17, the United States Grand Prix at Austin, followed by the Mexican Grand Prix in Mexico City. Yes, the Mexican Grand Prix name returns to the series after it was known as the Mexico City Grand Prix last season. Now, next up, round 19, is the Bahrain Grand Prix in Turkey. A lot later than what it has been in the past, of course. So it'll be very interesting to see how that one fares out at the last end of the season for Bahrain before we head off to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for round 20. And then the final race of the season, round 21, will be the Brazilian Grand Prix at Sao Paulo. Will it be the final time that it will be the finale for the OC? We will have to wait and see, of course, because it no longer, of course, has that distinction of always hosting the last Grand Prix. It had that distinction removed for the fantasy era. Now, some information from Yuri, of course, because he just told me as I was just reading out the calendar there. Melbourne, the plan is to use the new version of Melbourne for this season, but he's still got to do a bit of testing with it for starters. So we will see which version we'll end up with by the time the first season comes around next week. But so far,
that should be fun.
Should be fun indeed. Whilst we were talking there, of course, George Roke went into second place there to get in front of Joseph Willows. Meanwhile, Rahul Patel in the brand new Lamborghini team. We might as well talk about them, Rob. This is their first ever season in the top class, and so far from testing, they're looking pretty decent so far.
Yeah, they don't look half bad. They got Laura Chung up there in P9, and Patel in his first official outing. Of course, he's been in preseason testing as test driver in the past, but now he's there as a main driver. He's up in P12, so Lamborghini. Maybe some people might have expected them to be at the back, being a new team and all, but that doesn't appear to be the case. They might be a solid midfield contender. But of course, it's still early days. We're not even 10 minutes into the first practice of the first preseason test, of course.
We haven't really got a true representative of Franco Lopez, really, because as you can see, Amarcar is up in 7th place meanwhile, and it seems that Lopez may have had some traffic on his lap, hence why he's down in 18th position, because I don't expect that to be the gap between both Carr and Lopez, to be fair.
I think there can be some very big differences. I mean, look at the gap between the two Ferraris. You got one in 1st place, and his teammate all the way down in 10th, 9th, 10th adrift, so I think the field spread could be very, very entertaining.
Now, one thing I will talk about the field spread as well, what Yuri did notify us as well, from the tests that he's done, from all the tracks that he's taken them on, you do see a different variation. The tracks do, the performances basically adjust to the track, so to speak. So what I mean by that is that you can see with Barcelona, of course, this is mainly a downforce track, as you know. But when we go to Sakira, of course, that is obviously a completely different track to Catalunya, as that's mainly a high-speed track. So you might see some differences in the pecking order, certain parts of the field, but we'll have to wait and see. As meanwhile, Griffith currently
almost a collision there.
Holding up one of the Red Bulls, of course, and I think a lot of people are going to have to get used to the fact that the Red Bull is white and red rather than what it has been in the past, which is navy. As meantime, Miklos Gal gets overtaken by the Alfa Romeo there. Not sure which one that is, but so far, looking at the test so far, I know it's early days, but AlphaTauri so far not looking very good at the moment, Rob.
No, I think as it stands right now, them and Williams are the lowest two teams, as Franco Lopez has just had a lockup into turn 5, more uncommonly known as the Sam Bird corner.
Indeed so. As for anybody wondering as well, the tyres we're using for all 4 days, so not just the first 2 days, is the hard tyre. So we'll be seeing the white wall hard tyre for this session. Now, since we saw the launches, if anybody watched them, obviously I hope you enjoyed them, of course. It actually got some very good views out of that, to be fair, as Jimmy pointed out. But since then, there has been some adjustments to some of the cars. You may have noticed that on the mirrors, the Lamborghini has a different sponsor than it had last time. Also, as well, there's been some graphical adjustments for the Ferrari, the Mercedes, and there was another car as well. I'm trying to think which one it was. The AlphaTauri, because there were some graphical glitches with some of them that some of you might have not noticed, but I did. So I've went back and adjusted those. One of those, I'll talk about the notable ones. The Ferrari, there was an upside-down sponsor on one side of the car. I went back and adjusted that. I also went and adjusted one of the sponsors because it was a little bit stretched on the car as well. The Mercedes, I've also sorted out the rear wing sponsor because it was broken up a little bit, if I'm being totally honest, from the launch video. And the AlphaTauri, there was supposed to be a sponsor on the halo, but it's turned out to be a bit of a nightmare to get right, so I've just removed it entirely. So that's that, really. So some changes, but nothing too drastic. It's just some minor tweaks here and there from the launch videos. But apart from that, they all look pretty much identical to what they were in the launches. Meantime, Franco Gama still struggling to get by on the Williams right now, and some indication if you're talking about engines, because this is the speed right now. I don't know whether this is the setup that Gamba has got on, but you would say that the Mercedes still has some good pace down the straight so far, Rob.
Well, it's obviously just testing. We don't know what engine modes these guys are running, as Lopez just gets overtaken there by the McLaren. But yeah, I think Mercedes shouldn't be too bad in the straight lines.
But as we just said that, we just saw the McLaren there just overtake Franco Lopez. Not really sure which McLaren that was that overtook, because both Willows and DeRosa are out on track. But if we're going to talk about McLaren, so far they look pretty decent at the moment, you'd have to say, Rob, up in third.
Yeah,
and fourth.
indeed.
But again, it is early days. It might change, but so far, looking pretty good for them.
If you want me to give my honest opinion, I believe at the moment the top 3 teams look like the the Red Bull, the Ferrari, and the McLaren. The order I'm not so sure, but I think those would be the early contenders. Obviously, there's still a lot of things that can change between today and race day. It should be very entertaining to see what's going to happen.
Indeed so. And
probably the biggest shock is Mercedes not exactly on pace. Sure, Lopez has been impeded, so his lap time isn't really representative, but they don't appear to be comfortably at the front anymore.
judging from Carr, who's up in 7th place, it seems that they may have lost a bit of speed as a result of this fantasy era. But we never know, of course. It is still early days. And, of course, things might change when we get to Sakeo. You have to wait and see, of course, because as Yuri pointed out, the variation of the performance can change depending on the track. So,
Absolutely.
have to wait and see on that. Whether the Mercedes is still good at top-end speed tracks like it's Sakeo, we'll have to wait and see, of course. Meantime, we look at George Rowe. Of course, for the first time since 2006, he finds himself at Red Bull, and so far looking pretty strong at the moment, Rob.
Absolutely, he's up in 2nd place. Ferrari appeared to be a little bit all over the place. Like I said earlier, they got a guy in 1st and a guy in 10th. But McLaren, sorry, not Mercedes, McLaren and Red Bull, they appear to be very comfortable. They got their drivers for second and 5th and 3rd and 4th respectively, so it could be quite entertaining. Speaking of them, we're looking at Hiroshima De Rosa in the McLaren. His first session and season under the Italian flag as Rahul Patel is just gone up into P8 in the Lamborghini.
Yes, indeed. The first season that De Rosa will be using his real nationality, the Italian nationality, and that does continue to up the amount of Italian drivers that we have in the OC, which is quite a big number, in fact. But as De Rosa now then is down on his personal best, but not by much in the first sector. But you mentioned there, Patel went up into 8th. So far, the Lamborghini is looking pretty good at the moment in 8th and 10th. Chatfield, of course, is in the Ferrari, 9/10 off his teammate. I do wonder if he had any traffic as well, because if it's anything to go by with Galloway's speed, then who knows really what Chatfield can do in that Ferrari. Meantime, Patel
or
getting
perhaps
a little bit of
he's gone a little wide there, went under a curb. Clearly trying to get used to the car here.
Indeed so. Now, obviously, these liveries are brand new to everyone, of course, and it's to represent the fact that we are in the fantasy era now of the OC. So while in the stream chat, guys, I'm going to ask you this question. Which livery, in your opinion, is the best livery out of the 11 teams on the grid? And which one, in your opinion, is the worst? And I'll ask you that question, Rob, actually. Which one do you believe is the best and which one do you believe is the worst, in your opinion?
Before that opinion, we got a yellow at turn 3.
Had a brief yellow at turn 3 there, and I don't think Yuri picked up on that, but we did have a brief yellow at turn 3. It seems that somebody made a mistake, and it's Julius Anderson. Julius Anderson in the Aston Martin has made a mistake. Let's see what happened.
Kept the rejoin safe there, but let's see. Oh, he just understeered wide.
And I'm sorry to point this out, but Evan mentioned, apparently, I'm just going to point this out, Evan mentioned that apparently one of the sponsors on the Aston Martin was hard to find. Well, I found it straight away. It's not that difficult to find, to be honest with you.
Which sponsor are you talking about?
I was talking about one of Julius's sponsors. I'm just going to leave it at that. So it is easily seeable. So it isn't invisible. I'm just going to point that one out, unlike what Evan originally thought. So anyway.
Well, okay then. In any case, let's just wait for De Rosa to finish this lap, and then I will tell you.
Okay, De Rosa is going to cross the line. What can the McLaren do? And he does not improve, stays in 4th.
Well, honestly, I like the Alfa Romeo quite a lot, but I think my favorite has to be the Renault. Probably because it reminds me a lot of the liveries I used to run when I was managing Eldorado back in IFMC. I really like the blue and yellow color scheme, so there's that. The Renault is quite good. As for the worst, it would be really rude to say, so I don't really wanna... I don't think I have a worst livery. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Okay, so that's that really. So I obviously can't really say because I made 5 of them. So I obviously edited 5 of the liveries, so I can't really give an opinion. But yeah, it's
okay, then give me your opinion out of the cards you didn't edit.
Okay. Do I want to? I'm risking my reputation with some people in the livery editing group. So I think the best one out of the ones I didn't make, I would personally have to say the Alfa Romeo, in my opinion. I do personally think, and Barbara Mavasoni had this same opinion as well. I do personally think that's how the Alfa Romeo should look in the real life Formula 1 season. It should really adopt its dark red colour scheme that it's known for. Obviously, we know why it doesn't. It's because they don't want to clash too much with Ferrari. But obviously, in the OC, we don't need to abide by that. So, yeah, I would go with the Alfa Romeo. In terms of the one that I don't... The one I not necessarily hate, because I think all of them are great. Just the one that I least like. It's an interesting one.
You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
I think I'll give an answer. Who's the one? If I had to choose, and it's not, I think all of them are great, but if I had to choose, I would probably say Renault. Not because it's a bad livery, because I think the livery is great. It's just one thing is just giving me a little bit of an ick about it, and I think it's the colors going on underneath the nose. I don't know if this was an error that was made by Evan when he edited the livery, but the blue and the red and the blue and the yellow underneath the nose, it doesn't really work for me. I would have left that black personally, but that's my opinion. Not to say that it's a terrible livery. It is still a very good livery. It's just, it's not my favourite out of all of them. But that's what I would say.
I just wanted to say, meanwhile, whilst you were talking, Felix Zontag had an improvement. He's gone up into P19. But today it's not looking so great for Williams. They still appear to be languishing at the back.
Indeed so, and it seems that AlphaTauri might not have some good pace at this point in time. But looking at the pecking order so far, I mean, Griffiths I know is over 2 seconds back, but if you're looking at it compared to Sontag and the rest of the order, it's not a very big field spread, if we're being totally honest, Rob.
Apart from Griffiths being the outlier, somewhat off the pace.
Oh, as we say
not bad at all.
He's just gone up to 17 as we said that.
Well, that's a goodie. If you want me to give my opinion, I think either Williams or AlphaTauri are the slowest car, so 11th and 10th. Then I think Haas is comfortably the 9th fastest as it looks. Then I think it should be the Alpha, and then everyone else in the midfield, including Mercedes, could be a scrap. And then the top 3, as I said, in no particular order, Ferrari, Mercedes, and not Mercedes, sorry, Ferrari, McLaren, and Red Bull. I think that's my opinion of the pecking order.
Okay, it will be interesting to see, of course, but as mentioned, the field spread looking particularly close. Meantime, Lopez does improve, but only up into 12th position, not quite on the pace of his teammate Carr at the moment, who's up in 7th place right now, as we've got some more cars coming out of the track. Here is Daniel Fraser, and to a lot of people's mind, this is apparently, a lot of people believe that this is the best livery on the grid, the Haas, which a lot of people seem to get reminded of the old Jordan days with this livery, Rob.
Well, I don't think the intent was to evoke Jordan. It's obviously to invoke the German flag thanks to their new Deutsche Post sponsorship. But yeah, it's a very, very nice looking livery, especially on that front wing there. Let's see what Fraser can do on this lap, of course, because the car doesn't appear to be supremely quick right now.
Definitely not, but I think, fair enough, I would say that they seem to have a better car compared to last season so far, I think. I think they've made an improvement compared to last season, because let's not forget with Haas, of course, last season, it was a disaster for them. They finished last in the Constructors, and at times when it looked like they were going to score points, always bad luck came to them, specifically with Dudu Kirby, but they did eventually get points at the Japanese Grand Prix, courtesy of Daniel Fraser, but they finished last in the Constructors, even finishing behind the now departed Manor, who are now in World Champ Car, Rob.
Speaking of Manor, of course, they signed one of their old rivals' drivers, that being Emilio Wilson, so they'll be hoping with this change they can have a better season, as Lopez has improved again, but still in 12th. What's going on with Mercedes?
It seems to be a bit of an unknown so far with Mercedes in terms of where they are at the moment. In the meantime, looks like Fraser's practicing a bit of defending right now because he's trying to fend off from a McLaren behind, as there's some more side-by-side action behind. It looked like a Red Bull and a Mercedes were going into combat, going into the first 2 corners. As
don't forget that unlike in real life, this McLaren doesn't have a Renault in the back of it. It doesn't have a Mercedes in the back of it. Sorry, it's got a Renault. And Kirshima De Rosa putting that Renault power to good use to make that move past Fraser. He's improved in the first sector, of course, but I'm not so sure if he'll keep it up.
You could argue he may have got a little bit of a healthy slipstream there from Daniel Fraser in that first sector, but we'll have to wait and see. Now,
maybe so, but the run up to turn 4 isn't exactly the biggest place for just slipstreaming past another driver. In any case, Rosa is about to complete the middle sector here.
Let's see, and yeah, he is down, so you are actually correct on that one. Now, obviously, we're in pre-season testing mode, but of course, it's kind of a pre-season week in a way, because the top class aren't the only series, we've got to call them series now, a bit of a term we've got to get used to now in the OC, are not the only series to be having a pre-season test this week, because on Saturday and Sunday this week, Formula E and World Champ Car are having pre-season tests as well. Formula E being at the Grand Prix layout of Sakir, so the same place where the top class will be going for the final 2 days, rather than the outer layout, which is what they race on, or will be racing on in the FE calendar. And then World Champ Car on the Sunday will be going around the Grand Prix layout of Indianapolis. So
I hope I can be the fastest in the Formula E test, because I might be remaining with Audi. And Formula E's got a little bit of a change to the car system, of course. As
Indeed.
Burns has
Meanwhile,
gone purple in Sector 1, obviously with a little bit of a helping hand from the slipstream. But I don't think that Renault engine appears to be bad the slightest. I think it's a very good engine for the moment.
especially when you look at the McLarens, who are also running that Renault engine. So it seems like both the Renault and the McLaren might be able to extract a lot more out of it. We'll have to wait and see, of course, as De Rosa makes his way through turn 6 and 7. But yes, we do have preseason tests as you can. And as you mentioned, Formula E has a big change as well, because it is no longer an equal car series, of course. We have to name them series now because we no longer have a tiering system in the OC. And so they basically carving their own path, so to speak. So having their own,
I guess so.
sort of, pillar in the OC, I guess. But yes.
On the topic of Renault, I'd like to add, I believe they are the 4th or 5th fastest, maybe 4th right now. Car Zonta has improved, got up into 19th.
As indeed gets himself above Amelia Wilson in the Haas, as Byrne goes up to 4th. Meanwhile, so maybe if he'd not been held up a bit by the Mercedes in front, who knows how quicker he could have gone. I think that Mercedes was Franco Lopez, if I'm not mistaken. But
it was, yeah.
It was indeed. So we'll have to wait and see if Byrne is able to continue with that improvement for the remainder of this next lap he's on. As De Rosa makes his way through the long swooping right-hander. He actually managed to split between the two McLarens, actually, of both Willows and De Rosa.
He's matched his best Sector 1 so far, De Rosa there. Dead even. And that being 85 thousandths behind Galloway. Well, let's see if we can still find some more pace on these tires.
Indeed so. And it will be interesting indeed. So, yes, you mentioned Formula E is no longer an equal series, but it's not going to be in the same way as top class, more like what it is in real life, so you should expect the close races. In the meantime, Roman Quarg in the Alfa Romeo has gone up into 8th position, the returning Roman Quarg, so that's a good lap for him there in the Alfa Romeo so far. So maybe the Alfa has got a bit of pace, who knows? It's a bit of an unknown, really, in terms of this pecking order, Rob. It's so exciting. We've not really had this in the OC before, because in previous seasons, we've often had a bit of an indication of where everybody is. This time, it's a bit of a guess of, well, who's got the best car, who's got the worst car.
I think Byrne has just improved even more, but I think he's going to be 2nd. I think from P5 to P8, it's completely up for grabs. It could go anyone's way. Meanwhile, Chatfield is in P14. I'm shocked by how just inconsistent the Ferrari is. You got one at the front, you got one struggling right now, almost a full second down.
Indeed so, as De Rosa makes his way through into turn 4.
Looking very consistent right now, only 1/100 of a second down in the first sector this time around.
Indeed so. Now, I was talking about presentation, of course, IndyCar, I say IndyCar, World Champ Car, of course, the series that is replacing BTCC. Obviously, a very exciting series in itself. And it will be interesting to see who's quick in that series and who is not, of course. I'm personally looking forward to it, personally, because judging from the calendar, some very exciting tracks that they'll be going to in that series.
Yes.
So, yeah, you only got a yes on that there, Rob. I don't know if there was a
it was intentional. I don't really think of a too thorough opinion. As Ron Borderfield Zontag, let's see if he can get another improvement under his belt, maybe.
Indeed so, as the Pink Beast, as he's nicknamed it, doesn't improve, stays in 19th, still behind his teammate Griffiths at this point in time, as he's got one of the Aston Martins following him at this point in time. As meantime, Kirishima De Rosa across the line, no improvement, stays in
just one time down on his personal best, so the McLaren's managing the degradation quite well right now, because don't forget, he's been on a little bit of a long run. This is like his, 4th lap in a row on this run or something, as Laura Chang has just improved in the Lamborghini, go P7.
Indeed so, and so Chung getting up into 7th place. This weekend, this weekend, the preseason test for both Formula E and World Champ Car. Formula E being on the Saturday and World Champ Car on the Sunday. In terms of what time, we'll have to wait and see, of course, because of course we've got the Monaco Grand Prix. So Patel gets
Look at that
in the Lamborghini. So very good first test so far for Lamborghini, it's fair to say, Rob, so far.
Absolutely. Some I may have expected them to be, 9th, 10th, maybe even at best 8th fastest car. But at the moment, they could actually be the 5th fastest or something like that, or along those lines. So yeah, Lamborghini definitely, for a team that's got no data, no past data ever, on any, not just on this track, but on any track, they're doing quite well for themselves.
Indeed, so, and Patel looking very strong at the moment during this test so far. As Motrin, meanwhile, improves, but only up into 14th. Chatfield only down in 15th at the moment in the Ferraris. Roke gets stuck behind the Alpha Tauri there, the sister car. And
I'm not sure what the deal with Aston is. They don't appear to be as strong as they had. They don't appear to have the same strength they had last season. Maybe they can copy anything this time around. But in any case, yeah, Aston. I've got a little bit of work to do, I think. David Kupok did improve to go up to 18th.
So he has been able to find some pace in that Alpha Tauri so far. As meantime, De Rosa's coming back into the pits this lap. Meanwhile, Roke didn't improve, and he's coming back into the pits this lap as well after getting held up by the Alpha Tauri. If I think that is Miklos Galloway who's just trying to overtake there, and it is. It's a 69 Alpha Tauri. Meantime, Patel goes up to 4th, so another big improvement there for Rahul Patel. Gets in front of the McLaren of Joseph Willows, who, of course, if you don't know from outside the OC, are a bit of arch nemesis. So who knows, really, if we're going to see a trap battle between Willows and Patel in this series. We'll have to wait and see. But it will be interesting. So
obviously, it's still far too early to say anything of the sort, but imagine if Lamborghini could get onto the podium in their first season. As Jesus Pernian has finally found some more pace in that Renault. There's a big spread between him and his teammate. Now they're under 10th apart.
Indeed so. And Laura pointing out that the engines haven't blown up yet. So, yeah, that's also an encouraging sign. Because, of course, let's not forget as well, Lamborghini are not just entering a team in this, but they've also bought their own engine as Kupok gets above the Alfa Romeo of Verderi and gets up into 17th. But, yeah, Lamborghini have brought their own engine into this series. So we now have 5 engine manufacturers in the top class to go along with Mercedes, Honda, Ferrari and Renault. We now have Lamborghini joining that fold. Of course, they're the only team to have Lamborghini engines so far. Obviously, they're going to be the only ones to run it this season. But they've not ruled out, as I pointed out in previous news videos and in previous streams I've done in the past, they haven't ruled out potentially supplying other teams in the future. But whether they will or not for 2022, that is going to be another question. As meantime, Franco Gamba, who is determined to have a very good season this year, makes a little error into turn 2. And just going on to the topic of Gamba, it was a very tricky season for Rob. For him, Rob, so much so that he was very lucky to keep the Red Bull seat in the end. And, well, he really needs to step it up this season, it's fair to say, Rob.
Yeah, indeed. I think he'll find himself happy that his competition in the name of Nick Ender wasn't exactly quite special. But if someone more qualified than that guy had signed up for the seat, I think Franco might have been in trouble. Alas, he's surely going to be thankful. He's been retained by the team after not such a great season. And they've given him another shot. Let's see if he can make it count this time. As Jesus Pernian has improved yet again, got up to P6.
He's improved on his time a bit further there. Of course, Gamba's like getting a little bit compromised because of that mistake. As here is Pernian, in fact, who gets a little bit wavy.
Very wide on the extra of turn 2 on the approach to 3. That's going to compromise his run a little bit. Let's see his first sector split. Yeah, massively off.
Was on the ragged edge there going through into the second corner there, but there is a lot of hype surrounding Pernian, it's fair to say, given what he was able to do in BTCC in 2019. He's here in the top class after managing to be a key part, really, in Univirtuosi, winning the team's title last season along with Rahul Patel. And quite ironic that both the Univirtuosi drivers are now both in the top class this season. Meanwhile, Lopez improves, but only still
not just the top class, the top 6.
Yes, indeed. And well, what was that really? Of course, let's not forget there was a straight competition for that second Renault seat after Galloway decided he wanted to go to Ferrari for 2021, and it was between Perinen and Quag, and in the end, Perinen, thanks to his performance in Brazil, just managed to edge Quag to that second Renault seat, and Renault promoting him from his test role to the main seat. Of course, Quag also back in the top class, but with Alfa Romeo, who so far seem to look pretty decent in the hands of Quag at this point in time. So far for Dairy, still not on that pace at the moment compared to Quag, but I think it's so far quite encouraging for Alfa Romeo so far, it's fair to say, given they also had a bit of a tricky season last season.
Yeah, looks like it. Hopefully they can turn their pace around a little bit. They appear to be relatively faster than last season, though I still think there'll be a midfield outfit. Maybe they could scrap along with Mercedes or something like that, like they're doing in real life, might I add. Though only with one car really in real life. Maybe they can do it with both. But Mercedes, they're really looking mid right now. Hopefully they can improve for their own sake, as Pernian is 300 down in the first sector there.
Indeed so, as he now makes his way down towards heaven. Lopez improves though and gets up into 11th, so he's actually gained a place and now finds himself just 13,000 behind teammate Armar Carr.
And just one in front of Quag, as Franco Gamba has finally turned the wick up. He's gone second.
Indeed, and well, I was talking about earlier on, Rob, how the field spread is very very close, and well, if you just look at the gap from the whole field, it's looking very very close indeed. I think we're looking at possibly a very exciting season if this is anything to go by.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what's gonna happen. The entire field within 1.6 seconds looks a lot like F2 more than the top class of the good old days. In any case, it's not a bad thing. The field, a lower field spread is always nice. Daniel Fraser has improved, got up 16th. What about his Pernian? This time he can improve. He's just under 3/10 off his personal best.
Just on the top of the field spread, if you look at how close the top 16 are, the top 16 separated by under a second. When you look at previous seasons, I think that was a little bit longer than that. But apart from that, it's looking very, very encouraging this season, it's fair to say. And who knows, really? I don't think we've really got a clear picture as to who's going to be the favourite to win the title, really.
Absolutely. Here we have Patel on a new run, and he's improving in first sector at the moment. Watch out, because this lap could be a very good one. Stay on board with him. As he goes in towards turn 5, later on the brakes, De Rosa has improved to copy to third, but will stay on board with Patel. On the exit there, not taking any curb, you have to be careful there, you don't want to unsettle the car. Now this section of corners is quite important, very tentative there, went quite easy there, and towards Kamsa now up the hill, make sure you upshift as you accelerate, he downshifted instead, that could cost him a little bit of time, but here goes De Rosa making an overtake, or at least trying to make an overtake on the Aston Martin there.
Yep, not sure which Aston Martin that was. I believe
it's got yellow T-cam.
Well, that I looked mainly at the number. I think it might have been Motrin, actually, looking at the number.
Fraser's improved yet again, but Patel is up on his personal best by just a few hundredths of a second. We're now to sector 3, and just one last corner to go, and it's full throttle from there on out. Let's see what Rahul Patel can do on this lap. He's getting himself into a top 5, maybe. He's about to cross the line.
Oh!
Second place! Dear God.
Someone's had their Weetabix this morning. Rahul Patel gets up into second place in the Lamborghini. This is very, very encouraging in their first season. And, well, they've obviously done their research and done their homework, and so far, it's looking pretty good for them so far. And Patel looking very good in second place right now. The Indian driver, who, of course, has an Indian-themed helmet, which was created by yours truly. He actually requested that to me last week, and I got it quickly turned around.
Chatfield's finally improved. He's only in P9, but he's cut the gap to his teammate. He's just half a second down now.
Look at this. He's still improving his Patel. He's been flying in this session.
Absolutely right.
And, well, let's see what his second sector is like, because this has been incredible pace from Rahul Patel in the Lamborghini.
I would like to readjust my previous statements. I believe Mercedes is the 6th fastest car, and then the top 5 scrapping with each other. Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, Renault, and Lamborghini. I think those are the top 5 teams.
Yes, indeed. Now, I do want to point something out as well, because I'm planning to do something a little bit different with Twitter this season. Because it's the fantasy era, I am planning to, after each session, actually put up the result standings for each session, really. And with these result standings, you're also going to see the brand new results graphics that I'm going to be using for the highlights. I did talk about that if anybody's on Discord. Well, you'll get a look at that tonight, of course. So I want to try and do something a little bit different after each session comes to a close, and do something like I did in the IFMC, if Rob remembers. Because after every session with IFMC, I used to put up a results graphic up. Well, I'm going to try and do that with the OC this time by. So
Noah Wilson is a little bit up, as this is the first time board shots we're getting of her in her new team. Chatfield's improved yet again. He's going to P8. Just behind Willows.
Patel is still improving, by the way, because he set a green first sector. This guy is on something today, it's fair to say. But so far, very encouraging.
But is that something legal?
No, it's me time. You just saw Williams there. You just saw Williams overtaking Mercedes there, and that was Griffiths getting by on not really sure.
Wilson has improved. Has Gamba 100th down in the first sector. He's going to be a lot further down the middle sector, though.
Indeed so, as Garma makes his way through into the hairpin. As meantime, we look at Wilson now then, who's up on her personal best again at the first sector in the Deutsche Post Haas F1 team. Of course, different sponsors for both Wilson and Fraser. Wilson has got DHL on the side of her car, and Fraser has got Deutsche Post on the side of his car. Same applies with the Red Bull, as you may have noticed with the rear wing, as Griffiths goes a little bit wide. It's a mistake for the Welshman, but unlike Anderson, he actually kept it
straight.
together.
Yeah, indeed. Might have compromised Chang's running towards turn 4 a little bit, though. She's going to have to take it from the inside. But look at that recovery from that half spin there from Jimmy Griffiths.
Yes, indeed.
A lot of power steering needed to get that point the right way. Obviously, his lap was ruined. That's the least of his concerns right now.
Could say Tokyo drift through that corner, really, Rob. And
well, if you're not playing GTA 5, you're not going to have a fast line like that.
Definitely not. But I think Patel actually may have lost some time, in fact, or is he still on the lap? Because I haven't seen.
That was Chung in front of Griffiths, not Patel.
I'm not. No, I'm not talking about Chung. I'm on about the timing, because I didn't see his lap go green. There's a bit of understeer there for the defending champion, Franco Lopez. And as you pointed out, the Mercedes looking a little bit off in this session, it's fair to say. Whether that will be the same when we get to tomorrow, where in Sakia, we'll have to wait and see. And again, he's just. In fact, he's going off the track.
He's gone off the track entirely. Doesn't this remind you of something we saw just yesterday?
A little bit, yeah. We saw yesterday in real life people making mistakes through this corner, mainly due to the tailwind.
This looks like a carbon copy of the reigning champion from real life's mistake when Max Verstappen went off. Obviously, he still won that race, but I'm not sure if, and this is not a race right now, but Lopez definitely struggling right now at turn 4.
Indeed so, as Wilson makes her way around the long, swooping right-hander. Don't think she.
Wilson obviously only got points just the one time last season. Back when she was at Manor. Now she's moved on to Haas. The car does appear to be extremely competitive, but she'll be hoping she can have a good season.
Indeed so, but it looks like the car is a definite improvement from last season. Just how much we're not sure, as Garber makes his way past Roland Motrin there into the hairpin. And so with just over 8 minutes to go, of course, this is what the leaderboard currently looks like. Galloway at the top with Patel in second, followed by Garber in third, DeRosa fourth, Byrne in fifth, Roke sixth, Willows in seventh, followed by Chatfield in eighth, Perrin in ninth, Chung in 10th, with the two Mercedeses of Carr and Lopez in 11th and 12th respectively, Quag in 13th, Anderson in 14th, followed by Fraser 15th, Motrin 16th, Kupok in 17th, Federi 18th, Wilson 19th, Griffiths 20th, Sontag 21st, and Gal in 22nd position. And just want to talk about something as well, Rob, of course, because usually, and it's going to be the same as it has been in previous seasons, of course, in day 4 we usually have the test drives in action. As Gal makes a mistake going through the chicane there.
Oh my goodness me. Yeah, that's a very, very rare mistake. I've never seen anything like this before.
No, indeed. Let's see what happened here. Did he clip the sausage curb on the inside? No, it just looks like may have carried a bit too much speed there, but not been a very good day for AlphaTauri so far, Rob.
He was fighting for second place in the World Championship last season in the Red Bull. He could have definitely held seat if he wished, but he's definitely made a very, very bizarre choice signing for the sister team instead.
But we will see if it works out in the long run, of course, Rob, but so far it's not really looking good for AlphaTauri at this point in time. But as I was saying, on day 4, of course, we will have the test drivers in action, as Chatfield gets by one of the McLarens there. I'm not sure which one that is. But anyway, we will have the test drivers in action, of course, and it will work the same way as it has done in previous seasons, where whichever driver gets the which of the teammates is fastest across the 3 days, basically like a football score. Whoever reaches 2 first will take part in day 4, and whoever loses out of the teammate battle will be replaced by their test driver. We might as well go through the test drivers of each of them while at it. So Mercedes have Rivki Fakhrizadeh as their test driver once again. Red Bull have Daniel Adventure, whereas Aston Martin have Aaron Curtis, who was so close to getting a top class seat for this season, but just missed out unfortunately. Renault have Hento Sinanome. McLaren have Hoang Min Nguyen, who of course made a very good promotional video for us for this 2021 season. So big thumbs up to Nguyen for doing that. AlphaTauri, they have Ruslan Protsiuk once again as their test driver. Ferrari have Dennis Graff, who will be who, if you don't remember, back in 2019, pretty much used this to try and get as many sessions as he can. And I wonder if that's going to be the same case this season as the Ferrari test driver. Alfa Romeo, they have Gabriel Gomez as their test driver after he missed out on a top class seat. Williams, they have Adam Chobot as their test driver. Haas have Bartosz Kloss, the former Ferrari test driver, as their test driver for this season. And Lamborghini, of course, have Dorebos Daniel. So be interested to see who those drivers end up replacing on day 4, of course.
Yeah, indeed. It could be very interesting to see what happens, as Wilson will be coming into pits this lap.
Yes, indeed. And no, you're not seeing things, Galloway. You are currently at the top at the moment. The team the Ferrari, if so far, have got some very good pace, because let's not forget, of course, last season, Rob, it was a complete nightmare for Ferrari. They dropped back from 2019, and at the very last race, they lost 6th place to AlphaTauri.
Well, the SF1000 was definitely an epic fail, but it looks like they spent quite a lot of money on developing this car instead, and it's still early days, of course, but I think it's been a correct investment.
Indeed so, because so far it's looking pretty good for Galloway. Not so much Chatfield. I think he's still trying to find his feet in this car at the moment. Because, of course, let's not forget, Chatfield wasn't originally meant to be in that Ferrari. It was originally meant to be Roberto Gamba again before he announced his shocking retirement. It essentially gave Chatfield a lifeline after he was booted out of AlphaTauri in favour of Miklos Gal. But so far, if you look at the test, I guess Chris, in a way, has to thank Roberto twice on that occasion, because had he gone with his first choice, he might have ended up in a similar situation to what Kupok and Gal are currently in at the moment.
Well, I think, no, you should be thanking AlphaTauri for dropping him, because Kupok did better than Chatfield last season, and because of that, he was retained by AlphaTauri and Chatfield was dropped and went to Ferrari. But this appears has actually gone Chatfield's way.
So far, indeed, but at the moment he finds himself 3 tenths behind Galloway and down in 8th position. Whether he can find some pace to get on level with Galloway, we will have to wait and see, of course. Jake Galloway, of course, fair to say, arguably Rookie of the Season last season, after he was called in last minute to drive for Renault. And so far, he did it. Well, he actually did a very good job last season. In fact, shockingly, took his first ever win last season at the Chinese Grand Prix. He's now at Ferrari, and so far, it looks like the move may have paid off for the 2016 Formula E champion. And who knows, really? A lot of people have branded it.
I think he will take a few more wins this season, looking at the pace of that car.
Indeed so. A lot of people have branded him last season as a future world champion. Well, will he be able to live up to that this season if this test session is anything to go by? Of course, we've still got 3 more days. Anything could still change between now and Thursday, of course. But because, of course, as Yuri has mentioned, that the variation of the performance does kind of change depending on the track, but not too dramatically, I should point out. Not in a way where it's like it is in DTM, where it's usually chaotic in terms of some areas of the pecking order can change from race to race, so to speak. So, just want to point that out. But, it will be very interesting to see, of course, as I was, for some reason, looking at my boxes. Indeed so. But so far, it's been a very encouraging day for Ferrari and a lot of the teams, especially Lamborghini, who I don't think a lot of people expected.
A little bit of a jinxing was encouraging for Ferrari, as Galloway just had a little bit of a lockup, but he was running in traffic, so it's not like it's a big deal.
No, definitely not. And we now look at Felix Sontag, who's just making his way towards the chicane. But we've just got over 2 minutes left in this session. This session has really flown by, and it's been a very, very exciting session indeed. And a lot of people will be smiling, and a lot of people will be a little bit concerned and disappointed. So
I've posted a little bit of a thing in our Discord chat, and in my opinion, the 5 best teams are certainly Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, Renault, and Lamborghini. Though the big debate will be what exactly is the order these teams are in.
Whether Lamborghini is actually in that, we'll have to wait and see, of course. As meantime,
Sontag's just gone wide, and thankfully saved it, as Galloway is going for the overtake on AlphaTauri.
Basically the same error as what Griffiths did.
Look at Gamba, almost went purple in the first sector. He's found an improvement.
He's 8 thousandths up in the first sector, so we could be looking at an improvement for Franco Gamba in this remaining 1.5 minutes. I think we're going to remain on board now for the remainder, as Roman Quarg is now going to cross the line. Across the line he goes, no improvement for the returning Frenchman, so he stays where he is at this point in time, which is P13. And so that's that really, as that's a car done with for the day. He's coming to the pits. Willow's crossed the line, no improvement, stays in P number 7.
Well up left, but it looks like he's picked up a lot of tire drag 1.5 seconds down. We have Rahul Patel on what will be his penultimate flyer of the day. Let's see him cross the line. I don't expect any improvements, but of course I could always be wrong, and this time I'm not wrong. 4 tenths down as Wilson is starting a lap. Watch for Rogue. It could be a big one. Where's he gonna go? He's actually lost time in S3 there. Either way, Red Bull are very competitive from what we've seen so far. Here we have Felix Zontag, and he does not improve 3 seconds off the pace, as Gamba has gone second there, so Red Bull clearly showing the pace they got. And Evan Byrne has picked up the checkered flag next to his name. Nicholas Gala, unfortunately, he's in last.
I think he's reached his max laps, hence why he's got the checkered flag next to his name. As Lopez goes up to 10th meanwhile, so one of the Mercedes has at least crept into the top 10, but so far it's not been a very good day for the 6-time Constructors Champions. As Fraser comes around the final corner with just over 10 seconds left, we will see who's going to be the last car to cross the line. Fraser crosses the line, and no improvement stays where he is, and I think it is going to be Fraser because Quag has just come into the pit. So Daniel Fraser was the last car to cross the line, as Willows makes his way through into this Mickey Mouse chicane, which George
checkered flag is out for the first day.
Yes, indeed, as George always keeps referring to in the highlights, and well,
in my opinion, there is only one Mickey Mouse chicane, and if you remember, it's not on any track right now, but it used to be on the Indianapolis infield. You know the chicane I'm talking about.
Indeed, but at least we now know that from 2023, the no chicane version is actually going to be FIA Grade 1. So maybe F1 will get rid of that chicane for once. Anyway, Patel
about damn time.
Wilson didn't improve. Rote goes up into 6th, or in fact stays in 6th, I should say, but still very good session for Red Bull. Mottrin crosses the line in the Aston Martin, does not improve, stays where he is. Here comes Felix Sontag in the Williams. Across the line he will go, currently 21st, and stays in 21st. Cupart crosses the line, stays 17th. Galloway doesn't improve, stays on a 1 minute 20.287. Here comes his teammate Chatfield, he's on an improvement.
What's he going to do? He's gone up to 7th. Ferrari definitely showing a lot of strength early on, as Lopez is overtaking Gal. Though they're not exactly racing for position, they're definitely not racing for the front of the pack. We have Daniel Fraser about to finish his session.
He's the final car to cross the line, of course. Fraser around the final corner. Across the line he will go, and let's see what he is able to do. Across the line, and no improvement stays where he is. And that is the session done with Galloway at the top, Garber in 2nd, and Patel in a surprise 3rd. So, yeah, a very exciting session, you'd have to say, Rob.
Well, you know what they say? A 1,000-mile journey starts with one step. Well, this journey into the fantasy era, that first step has taken place today, and it's been a very entertaining first step.
Indeed so. Well, what will tomorrow bring? If it's anything to go by, judging by how close the field spread is, we could be looking at a very, very exciting season. But that has been it then for day 1 of pre-season testing. Hope you enjoyed it. A very, very exciting session. And we cannot wait for day 2 tomorrow, which of course will be the final session at Barcelona before we head off to Sakhir for the final 2 days. But anyway,
Joe, before we go, I'd like to ask you, what are your thoughts on the pecking order? I shared mine, of course, but I'd like to hear your opinion.
I think roughly the same as yours at the moment, but I'm still a little bit, I'm still kind of questioning about Lamborghini, whether that was just a one-off or whether they do actually have some genuine pace. I'm not sure. But
well, both cars were there in the top 10, so it's definitely good for them, but yeah.
Indeed so, but that has been it then, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. We will see you guys tomorrow at the same time of 4:30 PM BST for day 2 of preseason testing, the final one at Barcelona before we head off to Sakhir. But until then, that has been it. Thank you very much for watching. I've been JW97, he's been Robert Ionescu, and we will see you tomorrow for day 2 of preseason testing. See you then.
Thank you very much, guys.